I never was a runner, so I always signed up for the 100 meters because it was over quickly. Didn't have any comprehension of distance. I'd done no training for it. I'd been out the night before, and I really struggled. I mean, when you're running 100 miles non-stop, like, it almost doesn't matter how quick you do it. It's just the feat itself. At the time, we were looking to build our new gorilla house, so I thought I'll raise money for the gorilla house. And the best way to do that is to run as a gorilla. It starts and finishes from the zoo, so it's a great flat course. And I almost advise people to use that as like an intro to the Durrell Challenge. In terms of the fundraising though, I really love doing the big events. And as I say, I want to hit that 100,000.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Sportscast Jersey. Today we are joined by Will Highfield, otherwise known as the Jersey Gorilla. How are you doing, Will?
Hey Dan, thanks for having me on, mate.
No worries at all. As always with any guest, I kind of ask the same question at the start, and that is, have you always been sporty since a young age?
I think, I think I have. I've always been active. I've always liked sports, but I think probably where I differ from most people is that I was never very good at any one particular sport. I never really excelled at anything. I just kind of had a go at it all. Um, so yeah, it was interesting. Jack of all trades, master of none, I think.
Absolutely. But running has really become what you kind of been known for, and um, probably your number one. Well, correct me if you're wrong, but when were you first introduced to running and just going for a jog?
So, sort of really following on the back of the previous question, I guess, is like even at school, I remember doing sports days, and I know I never was a runner, so I always signed up for the 100 meters because it was over quickly. Um, and then I used to sort of look at the guys doing the 1500 and just think like, wow, like they're amazing. Um, and then I remember I did a relay leg of the Jersey Marathon. It was the Kennevé leg, and I didn't have any comprehension of distance. I'd done no training for it. I'd been out the night before, and I really struggled. And then after then, I thought I need to actually get into this. You know, I need to give it a bit more focus.
Yeah, yeah. How much? Obviously, at the Kennevé Loop, about 7K. What was it like out there?
Uh, well, I mean, the atmosphere was great. I'd never experienced an event before, so to be a small part of it was good fun. As I say, like I had no idea on distance, so 7K meant absolutely nothing to me. So I got my relay mate tagged me. I shot off like a rocket, and everyone was going, "Wow, like he must be awesome." And then literally it got around the first corner and just collapsed in a bush. But it was quite embarrassing. But at the end of it, I think I sort of thought, you know, I need to do better than this. Like this is embarrassing. So that's what kicked it all off, really.
Yeah, definitely. Following on from that, obviously, you went away, well, started running more and trained more. Um, how nervous? Obviously, that was your first kind of race experience, but your first individual kind of race or event. How nervous were you going into that, and what was it as well?
So actually, it was fresh off the back of that disastrous relay leg. I said to myself, look, I'm a young, relatively fit guy. I want to run a full marathon, and I didn't really know what that entailed, but I thought I'm going to set myself a deadline because if I don't, I'm never going to do it. I'll always make an excuse, you know.
Yeah.
So the following year, I signed up to the full Jersey Marathon. Um, I've got to be honest, I was absolutely bricking it.
Yeah.
I didn't really know how it was going to go, and my training, I ran 1 10K road run a week. That was the extent of my training, and I thought
Yeah,
that was all right. Um, I remember getting to the start line, and I was so scared because everyone there looked like proper runners, and I thought, I'd be like, what am I doing here?
yeah,
Um, didn't have a clue about nutrition, so I didn't eat or drink anything throughout the run. Um, managed to get to the finish line, and then my wife's uncle actually dropped us home, and I was so battered that she made me a cup of tea, and I couldn't even pick up my cup of tea to drink it.
yeah,
It was quite overwhelming. I mean, the whole way through, it was just trying to get to the end and seeing if I could, and then afterwards, it was yeah, reflecting on it all and thinking like, how can this be easier? You know?
yeah, definitely. And it's quite incredible, like you were saying, no nutrition, no anything. Do you look back then? What advice would you give to people who are just getting into running, and when you look back at it now, what, compared to how you started?
I think for me, I kind of muddled my way through, and I was genuinely really clueless. And a lot of that was because I didn't go out and really run.
Yeah,
So I would definitely say to anyone taking up the sport, go out and meet fellow runners, like talk to them, ask questions, because like we're a pretty friendly bunch. There's some awesome running clubs over here. And yeah, just get out and enjoy it.
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. You've done marathons, as you said, and you've done more. We'll come on to those a bit later on, I think. But you've done marathons and ultra marathons. Obviously, both huge, huge things. But which do you prefer personally?
Personally, I've got to say the ultras. Um, I mean, running a marathon is phenomenal. And there's a quote I love from Dean Karnazes, and he says that when he's asked what's the average time an average person runs a marathon, and his answer is average people don't run marathons. So I think marathons that as a distance, they're a huge achievement. Um, the thing I've noticed as I've run more is that even to non-runners, if you say, "Oh, I've run a marathon," the first thing they say is, "Oh, how fast did you go?" And as I sort of touched on before, I've never been quick. So I think what I love about ultras is that it takes that pressure away. I
Yeah,
mean, when you're running 100 miles non-stop, like it almost doesn't matter how quick you do it. It's just the feat itself. Um, and with ultras as well, a lot of the ones I enjoy are trail runs, because the scenery is just so much better. I get quite bored road running, and I don't know. I think it's a lot harder for sure, but it's definitely more rewarding.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Because I'll add to that, and I did the Trail Monkey 10K yesterday, not the half, but the 10K, and I loved it. Yeah, trail running. Well, trail monkeys are great, but trail running is just incredible, and it kind of it's like a getaway from like normal kind of world in a way as well, just to go out there on the cliff path. Um, explain what ultra, just for people who might not know, what ultra marathons actually are as well.
So ultra marathon are technically anything greater than the marathon distance, 26.2 miles. So I mean, typically there's set distances. You might do a 50K or a 50-mile race or a 100-mile race. Um, a lot of them will sort of involve navigating your own way. You've got to obviously carry all of your supplies with you, which increases the difficulty. Um, but yeah, I think that with ultras especially, I mean, I've run with people who I might not have known very well previously, but I think going through an ultra together, you literally see people at their best and their worst. You go through every emotion, and you come out at the end, and it's like you've known each other all your lives. So I think as a sport, it's yeah, it's there's something really
Yeah.
really nice about it, which sounds stupid when you're running a ridiculously long way, but it is. It's a really sort of inclusive. It just captures everything.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. I agree as well. Um, in moving on a bit and kind of main reason we're here. Um, the gorilla costume. Crazy to for any like outsiders looking in to even come up with the idea. So, when did the idea come about to even start doing this?
So most people will know I work at the zoo. It's a cause really close to my heart. So when Jersey Zoo got a London Marathon place back in 2019, it was the first time we'd ever had a charity place as a trust. So I really wanted to do that after running Jersey Marathon, and I thought I can probably try and raise a bit of money here. But the hardest sort of question or the hardest thing to look at really was how do I differentiate myself out of all the people that are applying for this one place? So at the time, we were looking to build our new gorilla house. So I thought I'll raise money for the gorilla house. And the best way to do that is to run as a gorilla. And people are going to see that and it'll get people talking. I don't know, it might just connect with people a bit better. Um, and I actually didn't get that place, but because I'm quite a stubborn person, I'd set my goals and I'd thought of and planned all these fundraising events to do. So I thought I'm still going to do it, and I ran Jersey in it instead, and really enjoyed myself.
How hard is it to run in that costume?
Uh, it's it's so difficult. I say this all the time to people, but I don't think they genuinely appreciate because when you go out for a run without any weight or any suit, it's so easy that you take it for granted. I mean, the suit itself, it's a beautiful suit. It looks incredible from the outside, but the couple of key things with it is that it obscures your vision for one, so you can see directly in front of you, but not really much else, which obviously has its own hazards. Um, it gets really hot and stuffy in there, so it can be quite difficult to breathe. Which, when you're running the big distances, breathing is quite a key part of the exercise. Again, touching on big distances, you have to carry all your own food and water, and there's limited space inside the suit to actually feed yourself. So it does make it tricky. Then you've got the added weight on top of that. So yeah, I mean, it's really difficult. But on the plus side, I did get told when I started running that once you run in fancy dress, you'll never want to run without it,
Yeah,
and I completely agree with that. I mean, you'll know yourself, Dan. When you do local races, you'll often have friends and family cheering you on.
yeah,
But as soon as you're in a suit, everyone on that course is shouting and cheering for you, especially kids. They just love it.
yeah,
And when you see people that don't know you, don't know really what you're running for, but they're still screaming your name or screaming whatever your suit is, that's really powerful.
yeah, yeah. I can imagine. I can imagine. Like you say, I know I obviously did the marathon this year, and the support was immense. So to think what it would have been for you in that suit, even this year again, just incredible. I want to touch on Jersey Marathon itself. In that suit, obviously you've done it a few times, and how 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 good has it been? How much have you enjoyed those experiences?
Yeah, I think the marathons in the suit, and especially Jersey Marathon because it's my home marathon. It's been amazing. And when I actually stop and think, I've only I've only actually ever run 5 marathons in my life, and only one of those, the very first one, official marathons. I mean, sorry, only the first one I ran as me. Every other one has been in some incarnation of this suit. So the first one you think you might remember is the was the little mascot gorilla suit. The second one Oh, sorry, no, six. The second one was in the head of this new suit. That was Jersey. And then I did London Marathon in this full suit, Berlin Marathon this year in the suit, and then Jersey the following week. So I almost don't know running without it, which I'm quite looking forward to seeing what I can do. But yeah, it's a big part of my running.
Yeah, for sure. As you touched on there, you've done some of the bigger marathons as well. Obviously, Jersey's great, and I love it so much. But the big name marathons, Berlin, London, how how well received were you over there as well?
So London was interesting because it was the first time I'd ran in my new suit. So my little mascot suit that I started with was about a kilo and a half. The new gorilla suit I've got when it was first shipped over was 13 kilos, and I'd never run in it before.
Yeah,
So London was interesting. Um, I was also running. Actually started with my mate Chris, who had the Guinness World Record, or still has the Guinness World Record for the full marathon, and he
yeah,
was dressed as a rhino. So it was great because almost the whole way we ran together, and everyone was shouting for the rhinos, the gorillas. But because London's so big, there was so many fancy dress.
yeah,
So I met a mate Paul who was running as a shoe. There was people dressed up as fruit, beer bottles, like you name it.
yeah.
Um, and then when I went to Berlin this year, it was the complete opposite. Like no one dressed up.
Really? Yeah,
So I was about the only one that was actually dressed up there, and the support was just phenomenal because of that. It was so different. Um, yeah, it was really, really good.
yeah, definitely. And how pleased, obviously, your fundraising as you're doing all this, of course. How much do you enjoy the fundraising side just as much as you enjoy the running side?
So the fundraising, I mean, it is really the whole point of the running. Really, that's why I got into it. And I've genuinely been blown away by the support that we've received. When I started and I sort of approached the zoo's marketing team and said, "Look, I want to run as a gorilla," and I had no previous experience, no training, no nothing. Um, and I was told, "Look, if you raise 2 grand, you'll be doing really well." So now that we're at 73,000, it's just staggering. Genuinely can't believe how well we've done together, and that is the vast majority of that is from the island. It's local people getting behind it. So I really enjoy that side of it and seeing the best of people really.
Yeah,
Um, the hardest thing I'd say is probably the social media campaign and that side of it, because technically I'm pretty useless. I just about manage Facebook most days.
uh,
Um, so whilst I can plan my big fundraising events and I really enjoy getting people together for those, and I love going out running, that's the most challenging side. Um, but yeah, it all comes together. It's all part of the same cause.
yeah. You,
Something I look forward to continuing.
yeah, you said that you've raised 73,000. Is there an end kind of goal in terms of um your target in terms of fundraising funds?
Yeah, I think I'm one of these people, and I don't know if you're like this, Dan, but I like round numbers. So if I'm going out for a 10K run and my watch says 9.6, I've got to keep going around the block until I get to
Yeah,
10.
yeah,
And now we're at 72. There's a real pull and a real attraction for. I just want to try and get to £100,000. I think it's a nice round number. It's a great contribution to a charity that really needs the funds. Um, yeah, so I think I'll set that as my target. A couple more events, and I think we'll be there.
yeah, definitely. Good luck with it. I want to touch on Double themselves. Obviously, they do two running events a year as well. Um, how one's coming up this weekend and I'm doing it. How good are those events, and how close are they to your heart as well?
So they're actually events that I do every year unless I'm working it. Obviously the zoo's open 7 days a week, so there's always a need to staff it as well. Um, they're actually what got me started running, and I started running with my mate Mark, who was the head of Gorillas, and he told me originally that the Durrell Challenge was a nice, easy run. He forgot to mention all the hills. So there's a running joke with that one that
Yeah.
actually we just tell everyone it's a flat run and it's just a trial by fire. Um, the Durrell Dash, which is what's coming up, that's a much nicer run. It starts and finishes from the zoo, so it's a great flat course. And I almost advise people to use that as like an intro to the Durrell Challenge.
Yeah.
Use the Durrell Challenge as the one to build up to, and get involved with the dash
Yeah.
to lead up to that.
No, definitely. I'm looking forward to it again, and there's a few hills in there, so not totally flat, but yeah, it's a good course, definitely. Um, Kind of what are your future goals as well? And you said your targets, you set your target, and but you need some events to lead up to it. Do you have any events in mind what you want to do?
Yeah, so I think I'm giving myself a little break. Want to sort of in the run up to Christmas. My wife and I we've had a little girl, Hazel, so she's 6 months now. So obviously that's
Amazing.
taken over a large part of what I would normally assign to training. So a different kind of endurance challenge, but really, really enjoying it. I think in the new year I'll look to sort of settle into my routine. I'd like to still get out and do some runs. So I'll probably be aiming for Jersey Marathon, but just as me, and
Yeah,
see how quick I can go without the suit. Um, in terms of the fundraising, though, I really love doing the big events, and as I say, I want to hit that 100,000. So in the past, we've run quiz nights, which have been hugely successful. Had over 300 people attending those events. So I think I'd like to do something similar to that, but maybe sort of branch out, do like a bingo event or something like that. Probably I'm going to try and do at least one event next year, one big event,
yeah,
maybe two if I can fit it in, and
yeah,
then yeah, see if we can wrap up the year well.
yeah, definitely. Good luck with that. And final few questions from me today. One is, how much would you encourage people to not only fundraise, but fundraise the way you're doing it in a fancy kind of dress and in a fun way, in a way?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely encourage it, and I think with any kind of fundraising or volunteering, it really doesn't matter how much time or how much effort you can put into it. Obviously, the more you do put in, the more you're likely to raise and sort of get out of it for the charity of your choice. But I think people often put off thinking, "Oh, I need to do 5 hours a week, or I need to hit this huge amount of money." But I'd say that actually charities they rely on funds, and I'm sure that any charity would be more than grateful for any contribution. So whether you're going out to run your first 10K or your first marathon, or you want to run a cake sale or anything like that, I think any money you can raise is fantastic.
Yeah,
Definitely recommend it. As far as the fancy dress goes, I'm a big believer in that. So definitely say to at least try it once.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Um, One last question, and it's to do with running. Obviously, I've had a few runners on the podcast, local runners, and I've asked each of them, how much would you encourage people just to start? They don't have to be good at the start, but just to get out there, have a little jog, and just to start running. And what benefits has it brought to you as well?
Cool. So no, it's a really good question actually. I think as I said earlier, I've never been particularly good at any sport, but I've always given everything a go, and I think that's all you need to do is give it a go. for most people, I think you will really enjoy it. Some people, it just won't suit you, but that doesn't mean to stop. It might be a case of, rather than trying to run 5 times a week, you might just do one every couple of weeks, and it gets you out. It's different motions. It's something new. Um, I would definitely say to get out and enjoy it. My big takeaway when I run is that I sort of switch my brain off from everything, from work, home, and it just gives me like a bit of peace. And I think that's partly why I enjoy the trail running, because generally it is a lot quieter. But yeah, it's I find it as a way to sort of unwind and relax, and you're getting out and about. It's keeping you fit, and if you can raise a few quid for charity at the same time, then it's even better.
Yeah, no, totally agree and good advice. Will, that's all the questions for me. Good to catch up again. Good luck with everything you're doing again, and it's just fantastic to see.
Thanks so much, Dan. Great to catch up with you as always, and yeah, good luck with all your projects too.
Nah,
See you
cheers,
soon.
mate. Cheers, mate. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you to everyone that's listened or watched this podcast as well. Your support is appreciated. Another episode of Sportscast Jersey is coming soon.